listening to the Holy Bible 1-Year Challenge with Master Storyteller Michael Wood, featuring the easy-to-read version and used by permission from Bible League International. Enjoy the show!
Hello everyone, welcome to day 177. We are continuing in the book of 1 Kings. There are three distinct sections here. In 1 Kings chapter 16, we continue the drama of the different rulers that cycle through Israel, while Judah has a pretty consistent ruler. And each of these kings is worse than the last king. And we change things a little bit in 1 Kings chapter 17, and we meet a prophet named Elijah. And we see God not only speaking to him, but using some powerful miracles. You can understand why in the New Testament some people thought Jesus was Elijah. And we're also continuing in the book of Acts. Paul and Silas are continuing their missionary journey. And as they go from city to city, you see them preaching to the crowds, converting some of the Jews that are there. But it's those stubborn Jews who are not willing to change their ways and now follow Christ. They get jealous and they get the whole city riled up. And Paul and Silas are in trouble again, in danger of the crowds, in danger of death. If you enjoy the show, visit me at patreon.com/storymaster. You'll find the link in the description box below. By contributing as little as $1 per month, you will enable me to continue this ministry. And you'll get cool rewards too. Together, we're going to get through the Bible in 1 year. Let's get started. 1 Kings chapter 16, verses 8 to 34. Elah, king of Israel. Elah, son of Baasha, became king during the 26th year that Asa was the king of Judah. He ruled in Tirzah for 2 years. Zimri was one of King Elah's officers. Zimri commanded half of Elah's chariots, but Zimri made plans to kill Elah. King Elah was in Tirzah, drinking and getting drunk at Arza's home. Arza was the man in charge of the palace at Tirzah. Zimri went into the house and killed King Elah. Then Zimri became the new king of Israel after Elah. This was during the 27th year that Asa was king of Judah. Zimri, king of Israel. After Zimri became the new king, he killed all of Baasha's family and friends. He did not let any male in Baasha's family live. So Zimri destroyed Baasha's family, just as the Lord said he would when he spoke against Baasha through the prophet Jehu. This happened because of all the sins of Baasha and his son Elah. They sinned, and they caused the Israelites to sin. They worshipped worthless idols, and this made the Lord, the God of Israel, angry. Everything else Elah did is recorded in the book, the history of the kings of Israel. Zimri became king of Israel during the 27th year that Asa was king of Judah. Zimri ruled in Tirzah for only 7 days. This is what happened. The army of Israel was at Gibbethon, which was under Philistine control. Omri was the commander of the army of Israel. The men in the camp heard that Zimri had made secret plans against King Elah and had killed him. So in the camp that day, all the soldiers made Omri the new king. Then Omri and all the soldiers of Israel left Gibbethon and went to Tirzah. They surrounded the city and attacked it. When Zimri saw the city had been captured, he ran to the palace fortress, but the soldiers burned it down with him still in it. So Zimri died because he did what the Lord says is evil. Like Jeroboam, he sinned and caused the Israelites to sin too. The story about Zimri's secret plans and the other things that he did are recorded in the book, The History of the Kings of Israel. Omri, king of Israel. Then the Israelites were divided among themselves. Half of the people followed Tibni, son of Ginath, and wanted to make him king. The other half of the people followed Omri. But Omri's followers were stronger than the followers of Tibni, son of Ginath. Tibni died, and Omri became king. Omri became king of Israel during Asa's 31st year as the king of Judah. Omri ruled over Israel for 12 years. 6 of those years he ruled from Tirzah. Then Omri bought the hill of Samaria from Shemer for about 6,000 pieces of silver. Omri built a city on that hill. He named the city Samaria after the name of its owner, Shemer. Omri did what the Lord says is evil. He was worse than all the kings before him. He committed all the sins that Jeroboam son of Nebat had committed when he caused the Israelites to sin. They worshipped worthless idols, and this made the Lord, the God of Israel, very angry. The rest of the story about Omri and the great things he achieved are recorded in the book, The History of the Kings of Israel. Omri died and was buried in Samaria. His son Ahab became the new king after him. Ahab, king of Israel. Ahab, son of Omri, became king of Israel during the 38th year that Asa was king of Judah. Ahab ruled Israel from the city of Samaria for 22 years. He did what the Lord says is evil. Ahab was worse than all the kings who were before him. It was not enough for Ahab to commit the sins that Jeroboam son of Nebat had done. Ahab also married Jezebel, daughter of King Ethabal of Sidon. Then Ahab began to serve and worship Baal. He built a temple and an altar in Samaria for worshiping Baal. He also set up a sacred pole. Ahab did more to make the Lord, the God of Israel, angry than all the other kings who were before him. During Ahab's time, Hiel from Bethel rebuilt the town of Jericho. When Hiel started work on the city, his oldest son Abiram died. And when Hiel built the gates of the city, his youngest son Segub died. This happened just as the Lord had said it would happen when he spoke through Joshua, son of Nun. First Kings chapter 17. Elijah and the time without rain. Elijah was a prophet from the town of Tishbe in Gilead. He said to King Ahab, "I serve the Lord, the God of Israel. By his power, I promise that no dew or rain will fall for the next few years. The rain will fall only when I command it to fall." Then the Lord said to Elijah,
"Leave this place and go east. Hide near Kerith Ravine, east of the Jordan River. You can get your water from that stream, and I have commanded ravens to bring food to you there."
So Elijah did what the Lord told him to do. He went to live near Kerith Ravine, east of the Jordan River. Ravens brought Elijah food every morning and every evening, and he drank water from the stream. There was no rain, so after a while the stream became dry. Then the Lord said to Elijah,
"Go to Zarephath in Sidon and stay there. There is a widow there that I have commanded to take care of you."
So Elijah went to Zarephath. He went to the town gate and saw a woman there gathering food for a fire. She was a widow. Elijah said to her, "Would you bring me a small cup of water to drink?" As she was going to get the water, Elijah said, "Bring me a piece of bread too, please." The woman answered,
"I promise you before the Lord your God that I have nothing but a handful of flour in a jar and a little bit of olive oil in a jug. I came here to gather a few pieces of wood for a fire to cook our last meal. My son and I will eat it and then die from hunger."
Elijah said to the woman, "Don't worry. Go home and cook your food as you said. But first,
make a small piece of bread from the flour that you have and bring it to me. Then cook some for yourself and your son. The Lord, the God of Israel, says,
That jar of flour will never be empty, and the jug will always have oil in it. This will continue until the day the Lord sends rain to the land.
So the woman went home and did what Elijah told her to do. And Elijah, the woman, and all those in her house had enough food for a long time. The jar of flour and the jar of oil were never empty. This happened just as the Lord had said through Elijah. Sometime later, the son of the woman who owned the house became sick. He became worse and worse until he stopped breathing. Then the woman said to Elijah,
Man of God, what do you want from me? Do you come here only to remind me of my sins and to make my son die?
Elijah said to her,
Give me your son.
He took the boy from her and carried him upstairs. He laid him on the bed in the room where he was staying. Then Elijah cried out to the Lord. He said,
Lord my God, this widow is letting me stay in her house. Why did you do this terrible thing to her? Why did you cause her son to die?
Then Elijah lay on top of the boy 3 times. He prayed,
Lord my God, let this boy live again.
The Lord answered Elijah's prayer. The boy began breathing again and was alive. Elijah carried the boy downstairs, gave him to his mother, and said,
Look, your son is alive.
The woman answered,
Now I know for sure that you are a man of God. I know that the Lord really speaks through you.
First Kings chapter 18, verses 1 through 15. Elijah and the prophets of Baal. During the 3rd year that no rain fell, the Lord said to Elijah,
Go and meet with King Ahab, and I will make it rain.
So Elijah went to meet with Ahab. The famine was very bad in Samaria. So King Ahab told Obadiah to come to him. Obadiah was the man in charge of the king's palace. Obadiah was a true follower of the Lord. Once Jezebel was killing all the Lord's prophets, Obadiah hid 100 prophets in 2 caves. He put 50 prophets in one cave and 50 prophets in another cave. Then he brought them food and water. King Ahab said to Obadiah,
Come, let's go look at every spring and every stream in the land. We'll see if we can find enough grass to keep our horses and mules alive. Then we will not have to kill our animals.
They decided where each of them would go to look for water. Ahab went in one direction by himself, and Obadiah went in another direction by himself. As Obadiah was walking along the road, he looked up, and there was Elijah. Obadiah recognized him and bowed down to show his respect. He said,
Elijah, is it really you, Master?
Elijah answered,
Yes, it is me. Now, go and tell your master, the king, that I am here.
Obadiah said,
If I tell Ahab that I know where you are, he will kill me. Well, I have done nothing wrong to you. Why do you want me to die? As surely as the Lord your God lives, the king has been looking for you everywhere. He has sent people to every country to find you. He even made the rulers of those countries swear that you were not there. Now you want me to go and tell him that you are here? If I go and tell King Ahab that you are here, the Spirit of the Lord might carry you away. Then, when King Ahab comes here and cannot find you, he will kill me. I have followed the Lord since I was a boy. Surely you have heard what I did when Jezebel was killing the Lord's prophets. I hid 100 of the Lord's prophets in caves. I put 50 prophets in one cave and 50 in another, and I brought them food and water. Now, you want me to go and tell the king that you are here? The king will kill me."
Elijah answered,
I serve the Lord all-powerful. As surely as he lives, I promise that I will stand before the king today.
Acts chapter 17, verses 1 through 21. Paul and Silas and Thessalonica. Paul and Silas traveled through the cities of Amphipolis and Apollonia. They came to the city of Thessalonica, where there was a Jewish synagogue. Paul went into the synagogue, as he always did. For the next 3 weeks, on each Sabbath day, he discussed the scriptures with them. He explained the scriptures to show them that the Messiah had to die and then rise from death. He said, "This Jesus that I am telling you about is the Messiah." Some of the Jews there believed Paul and Silas and decided to join them. Also, a large number of Greeks who were worshipers of the true God, and many important women joined them. But the Jews who did not believe became jealous. So they got some bad men from around the city center to make trouble. They formed a mob and caused a riot in the city. They went to Jason's house looking for Paul and Silas. They wanted to bring them out before the people. When they did not find them, they dragged Jason and some of the other believers to the city leaders. The people shouted,
These men have made trouble everywhere in the world, and now they have come here too? Jason has taken them into his home as guests. They all do things against the laws of Caesar. They say there is another king called Jesus.
When the city leaders and the other people heard this, they became very upset. They made Jason and the other believers deposit money to guarantee that there would be no more trouble. Then they let them go. That same night, the believers sent Paul and Silas to another city named Berea. When they arrived there, they went to the Jewish synagogue. The people in Berea were more willing to learn than those in Thessalonica. They were so glad to hear the message Paul told them. They studied the scriptures every day to make sure that what they heard was really true. The result was that many of them believed, including many important Greek women and men. But when the Jews in Thessalonica learned that Paul was telling people God's message in Berea, they came there too. They upset the people and made trouble. So the believers immediately sent Paul away to the coast, but Silas and Timothy stayed in Berea. Those who went with Paul took him to the city of Athens. They returned with the message for Silas and Timothy to come and join him as soon as they could. While Paul was waiting for Silas and Timothy in Athens, he was upset because he saw that the city was full of idols. In the synagogue, he talked with the Jews and with the Greeks who were worshipers of the true God. He also went to the public square every day and talked with everyone who came by. Some of the Epicurean and Stoic philosophers argued with him. Some of them said,
This man doesn't really know what he is talking about. What is he trying to say?
Paul was telling them the good news about Jesus and the resurrection. So they said,
He seems to be telling us about some other gods.
They took Paul to a meeting of the Areopagus Council. They said,
Please explain to us this new idea that you have been teaching. The things you are saying are new to us. We have never heard this teaching before, and we want to know what it means.
The people of Athens and the foreigners who lived there spent all their time either telling or listening to all the latest ideas. Psalm chapter 78, verses 9 through 16. The men from Ephraim had their weapons, but they ran from the battle. They did not keep their agreement with God and refused to obey his teachings. They forgot the great things he had done and the amazing things he had shown them. While their ancestors watched, he showed his great power at Zoan in Egypt. He split the Red Sea and led the people across. The waters stood like a solid wall on both sides of them. Each day God led them with the tall cloud, and each night he led them with the light from the cloud of fire. He split the rocks in the desert and gave them an ocean of fresh water. He brought a stream of water out of the rock, and it made it flow like a river. Thank you, everyone. That was day 177. Join us for day 178. King Ahab goes to meet Elijah, calling him the troublemaker of Israel. You'll hear Elijah's response to that comment. And then, as we continue the battle of the gods, it's Elijah's God versus the God of Baal, and a God versus God showdown. And then we see a violent side of Elijah as he slaughters all the prophets of Baal with a sword. And in the book of Acts, Paul stands up before the meeting of the Areopagus Council. Remember, he's in Athens, the center of spirituality and worship of the pagan gods of Greece. What would you say if you were in his position? And then we'll find Paul in the city of Corinth, and he meets a Jewish man named Aquila and his wife Priscilla. And then Paul challenges the people on their own salvation. We hope you enjoyed today's verses. Be sure to leave us a positive review and to share this podcast with your friends and family. Please join us for the next episode as we experience the Bible in 1 year.
Did you know we offer online courses in creative writing, literature, and web design? Visit us at storymaster.online to learn more.